Hi guys, today we'll continue our lecture on irrigation water management. So let's start it. So today we'll discuss soil moisture constants and soil water classification. Regarding soil moisture constants, these are certain parameters which indicate the soil moisture status under certain conditions. So what are those conditions? The conditions are soil water potential or soil water tension. We have already discussed what is soil water potential and what is soil water tension. We know that soil water potential is the energy status of water to do some work. So here soil moisture constants are the soil moisture contained at particular soil water potential or tension. For example, when the soil water is at a potential of 0 bar, it is known as saturation. When it is minus 0.33 bar, it is at fill capacity, and when it is minus 15 bar, it is at permanent wilting point, and so on. Okay, so now I will just explain the practical utility of soil moisture constants and how we'll determine the soil moisture content at a particular soil moisture constants. We know that soil moisture constants like fill capacity, permanent wilting point, so these are the points at which soil moisture to be quantified. So how will quantify? For example, we have taken a soil sample. Suppose this is a soil sample and we have taken this soil sample and we don't know what is the moisture content at the particular point when we have taken the soil sample. But we have to determine the moisture content at the fill capacity. So when we have taken the soil sample at we'll just saturate that soil sample. Okay, we'll just saturate the soil sample and we'll add water to the soil sample. Okay, after that we'll keep the soil sample in a pressure chamber. So remember, always pressure chamber is used. Pressure chamber or pressure plate apparatus is used for determination of soil moisture constant. So this is one important question. Question can be asked like, which instrument is used for determination of soil moisture constants? The answer is pressure chamber. How this pressure chamber is used? We will keep the soil sample in the pressure chamber and we will just apply the pressure for which we are determining the soil moisture constant. For example, we are determining fill capacity. We will set the pressure of the pressure chamber at 0.33 bar. And if we will determine the permanent wilting point, then we will set the pressure of the pressure chamber at minus 15 bar. So when we will apply this pressure, the water in the soil will try to make equilibrium with the pressure of the atmosphere surrounding it. As a result, the water will leak out of the soil, and the exact amount of water that should be held at minus 0.33 bar will be held in the soil, and will take the soil out of the pressure chamber and will determine the soil moisture content using gravimetric method, and that will be the soil moisture content at the minus 0.33 bar, or we can say the soil moisture content at the fill capacity. So this is the practical utility of soil moisture constants. So how these soil moisture constants are used? Because if soil moisture content is there, we cannot classify the soil water. So for classification purpose and for its practical utility purpose, we have used the soil moisture constants. Now we'll see how these soil moisture constants help in determining soil moisture content and classifying the soil moisture content. So we'll see that. So this is the example I have taken for classifying soil water. So imagine this is a water tank and we'll just compare this water tank with our soil. So imagine the soil is a water tank. Okay, so we'll first see the example of water tank, then we'll apply our knowledge to the soil after that. Okay, so if it is a water tank, when we'll just open that input, that is the inlet. Okay, water input will fill the tank. So when we'll fill the tank will be filled, and at a certain point the excess water will be left, or will be left from the tank, and this excess water is the gravitational water. Okay, first I will give the example of water tank, then only we will compare it to the soil. Okay, so this is a simple example. When water tank is there and we are filling the water tank at certain point, after a outlet is there, and after this outlet excess water will not be there in the water tank. Okay, and there will be another outlet tank. This is the excess outlet tank, okay, to remove the excess water. And this is the use, means from this point we are taking water for our domestic use. So when water is below this point, then no water will be available to our home, because we have taken the water from this level. Okay, so water is available to our home from this point to this point. For domestic purpose, we can use the water from this tank from this point to this point. That is the excess outlet point, and this is the use purpose outlet point. Okay, between this we can use the water, and this is the available water for us. Okay, so now we'll compare the system with the soil. Similarly, in case of soil, this is the drainage, means when the macro pores are there, and in which sufficient force is not there. I means in our soil water tension class, I told you already that soil exerts some force on water to hold it, and that force is the adhesive force. Okay, so here that adhesive force is not sufficient to hold the water in the soil. That's why in this macro pore, due to the force of gravity, the water will be drained out, and this is the excess point, and this is the point above which no water will be available to the plant, and this is the point, that is the permanent wilting point, and below which water will be not available to plants. Definitely water is there in the soil, like in this tank also water is there, but this water is not useful. Like that, in soil also, below permanent wilting point, no water is useful to plant. So what is the total capillary water? Hence the total capillary water is the field capacity to hygroscopic coefficient. Okay, so here it is the hygroscopic coefficient is the below. So from field capacity to hygroscopic coefficient is the total capillary water, and out of this field capacity to permanent wilting point is the available water. So what is the soil water classification? Soil water can be classified in two ways. One is biological classification, another one is physical classification. So first we'll see physical classification. So based on physical classification, soil water can be gravitational water, or the second one is capillary water, or third one is your hygroscopic water. We can see the amount of soil water pressure. At saturation, the pressure is 0 bar, and field capacity it is minus 0.33 bar. So 0 to minus 33 point bar, that is the your gravitational water, and minus 33 to minus 31 bar, this is your capillary water, and minus 31 to minus 31 to minus 10,000 bar, that is open dried soil, that is the hygroscopic water. So this is the these are the different types of water based on physical classification. Okay, so then biological classification is simple, two types, that is available water and unavailable water. So out of these different gravitational water, capillary water and hygroscopic water, what amount of water is available to plant and what amount of water is not available to plant, that gives us the available and unavailable water. So here in this example we can see, I will just clear this. Okay, so now we'll see. In this example, we know that field capacity to permanent wilting point is only available, okay, because below this is the outlet, permanent wilting point is the outlet, and below this water will not be available to plant. So field capacity to capillary water, sorry, field capacity to hygroscopic water is hygroscopic coefficient is your capillary water, but all capillary water is not available. So only field capacity to permanent wilting point is available. So a portion of your capillary water is available to plant. So here we can see, though minus 33 bar to minus 31 bar is your capillary water, means in the capillary pore water is held, but -33 bar to -15 bar is available to plant, and -15 bar to -31 bar is not available to plant. Why it is not available to plant? Due to the strong adhesive force of soil on water. The amount of water that held between -15 to -31 bar is not available to plant. What is this MAD level? MAD level is the point below which, when water level is reached, we have to switch on the motor. For example, this is our water tank, and when water level is up to this point, then there is no there is no effect in our home consumption. Okay, but when water is below this point, then water will be will be coming in a very thin stream. Okay, at this point we will know that water is going to be deficient, and at that point of time we should switch on the motor. Like this, in soil, when water is at MAD level, we have to irrigate the crop. So who decides this MAD level? This MAD level varies from crop to crop, soil to soil. For example, in case of rice, we have to irrigate the crop when the MAD level is at 25%. When 25% deficit of water is there, we have to irrigate the crop. But when in case of sorghum, when the MAD level is 75%, when water level is decreased up to 70%, 75% of available water at that point of time, we have to irrigate the crop. So this concept varies, and this is useful for scheduling the irrigation. We'll see this concept again in the irrigation scheduling chapter. Okay. So now we'll see a question, that is the process due to which there is a difference in moisture content of wetting curve and drying curve at a particular soil moisture tension is known as hydration or hysteresis or infiltration or moisture retention. Okay, so this question is about soil moisture characteristic curve. So first we'll try to understand what is a soil moisture characteristic curve. So this is a soil moisture characteristic curve. This is nothing but a graph between soil moisture content and soil water potential or soil water tension. For example, a soil is there, and at a potential of -0.33 bar, that is at field capacity. For example, the soil moisture content is 30%. But at permanent wilting point, the soil moisture content is, that is at -15 bar, the soil moisture content is 14%. For example, at 31 bar, -31 bar, soil moisture content is 5%. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll draw a graph in which we'll take soil water content and soil water potential like field capacity, that is -0.33 bar, at 14%, at, for example, at 15 bar, and at -31 bar. So in soil water content we'll take, suppose these are the points, like I will take 10, 20, 30. So at field capacity the point is at 30, and at -15 it is around 14, so it is 14, and -31 bar it is at 5. So then we'll join the points and it will give a curve. So this is the soil moisture characteristic curve. Okay, but this soil moisture characteristic curve can be prepared in two ways. What are those ways? Either we can prepare by drying the soil, or we can prepare by wetting the soil. Okay, so we have taken a soil sample, for example, and we'll dry the soil sample. For example, we have dried the soil sample, oven dried the soil sample, and then we'll start adding water, and we'll note at what potential what is the soil moisture content. So this is the wetting curve, because we have taken initially dried soil and we are adding water to it, means we are wetting the soil, and the same time we are maintaining the soil water content at different soil water potential or tension. Then this graph is known as drying curve or desorption curve. Okay, because we are wetting curve or sorption curve, because we are wetting the soil. We have taken a soil and we have dried it. After that, we are adding water to it. Okay. Then another type is that is the drying curve. In drying curve, initially we have taken the soil sample. We'll add water to it till the saturation, means we'll saturate the soil, and after saturation we'll dry the soil, and during this drying process we'll note down the different moisture content at different soil water potential or tension. Okay, so here the soil moisture characteristic curve can be prepared in two ways, drying curve or wetting curve. But it has been seen that, but actually what we expect, because the soil is same, but here we have prepared the graph by two process, drying process and wetting process. So what we expect? We expect that this drying curve or wetting curve, they will give the similar kind of graph. But in reality, it has been seen that in reality, the drying curve always has higher moisture content at a particular tension as compared to the wetting curve. So this is also another important question. So during preparation, which curve has always higher moisture content at a particular soil moisture tension? The answer is drying curve or desorption curve. Okay, so we'll try to understand what is the reason of such effect. This effect is known as hysteresis. Okay, so answer of this question is the process due to which there is a difference in moisture content of wetting curve and drying curve at a particular soil moisture tension is known as hysteresis. So here we can see the hysteresis effect. Okay, this is the hysteresis effect. Always we can see at a particular soil moisture tension or potential, if at a particular soil moisture tension, suppose at 100, okay, at 100 bar if you see, so here we can see the soil water content here is 0.2 but it is 0.1. So always drying curve has always higher moisture content than the wetting curve. Okay, drying curve has always higher moisture content than the wetting curve. So this is the hysteresis effect. Then what is the reason? Reason of this hysteresis effect is geometrical non-uniformity of pore space, because in soil all pore space are not equal in size, and this leads to the ink bottle effect. Okay, so the reason is geometrical non-uniformity, and which leads to the ink bottle effect. Then what is this ink bottle effect? So we'll see that. So this is the ink bottle effect. Suppose this is an ink bottle. When we are wetting the soil, so here water is held by strong adhesive force. Then what is the adhesive force? Adhesive force is the force between two dissimilar particles. So here water molecule is there, here glass molecule is there, or soil particles are there. So the attraction between soil particle and water molecules is known as the adhesive force. So due to this adhesive force, some amount of water will be held in this portion. As a result, this will block the inlet. As it will block the inlet, very less amount of water will come to the wider section. So wider section of pore remains empty as water does not reach it. Okay, but at the same time, we will see the drying case. Suppose water is already there, we have saturated the soil, water is already there, and we are removing the water. Okay, so at this point of time, some water molecules remain held due to the strong adhesive force. So this will also block the water. So when this will block the incoming water, so very less amount of water will be dried. So at a particular point of time, we can see the wider section has higher moisture content in case of drying curve, but less moisture content in case of wetting curve. So this is known as ink bottle effect, and this ink bottle effect is due to geometrical non-uniformity of pores. Means narrow section of the pores will have higher moisture content in case of wetting curve, and in case of drying curve, the wider section of the pore will have the higher moisture content. This is the reason why the soil moisture content at drying curve is always higher at a particular soil moisture tension. I hope this is clear to you. Thank you for listening.